Hey everyone, welcome to the Microsoft Quick Assist Forensics webinar. I think we're going to give everybody another minute just to get in, and then we will go ahead and start. So in about 1 minute, we will begin. All right. I'm sure we're going to have more people filter in, but want to welcome everybody to the Microsoft Quick Assist, the Microsoft Quick Assist Forensics webinar here at Inversion 6. So, for those who don't know, my name is Tyler Hudak. I am the Director of Incident Response at Inversion 6. I have been doing security, incident response, and forensics for a very long time. That has given me a lot of experience and a lot of luck in getting to see lots of different compromises. And we're here today to talk about Microsoft Quick Assist, how it's being used in attacks, and what we can do about it. So throughout this webinar, we're going to be talking about Quick Assist. What is it? Why do we care about it? And more importantly, how are the attackers utilizing it during their attacks? We're also going to talk about, how does it work? Because in the end, we want to know how to protect and investigate any malicious incidents that involve Microsoft Quick Assist. And in order to do that, we need to know how it works. From there, we'll talk about some of the key forensic artifacts that you can look at in order to determine what happened during a incident that includes the use of Microsoft Quick Assist. And then finally, we're going to go into how can we protect ourselves? How can we detect its use and so on? But before we talk about Microsoft Quick Assist, just to get everybody on the same page, I want to talk a little bit about RMMs. RMMs are remote monitoring and management tools. These are essentially tools that are utilized by IT in order to, and IT help desk support in order to assist users. It basically gives them access to the user's desktop so they can see what's going on and fix any issues. Unfortunately, attackers are starting to use these. It's very common to see RMMs being used by attackers. But Microsoft Quick Assist is a RMM tool. The way it works is you have two people involved in the Quick Assist session. You have the sharer. This is the person who is going to be sharing their desktop. Their desktop is the one that gets connected to. And then you have the helper who connects to that desktop. Well, in order to perform a Microsoft Quick Assist session or connect to somebody, the helper has to generate a code, which is what you see on the top of the screen here. It's a 6 alphanumeric character passphrase that they then give to the sharer. The sharer will then enter this code into Quick Assist, and then the two become connected. The helper can then view and potentially control the sharer's desktop. So why do we care? Well, attackers are definitely using Microsoft Quick Assist, and I think for good reason. Microsoft Quick Assist comes by default in Windows. We're going to talk about this here in a little bit, but it's on almost every version of Windows, and so it's a tool that's already there. They don't have to instruct the users on how to download the tool. They just have to run it, and if it's already in Windows, it's got to be good, right? This can't be a bad thing. Well, attackers are utilizing Quick Assist in ransomware attacks. We saw this at the beginning of the year, and then even within the last couple of weeks, we saw a resurgence in the number of Microsoft Quick Assist attacks that are being performed. I have also performed investigations where I've seen this used for social engineering attacks, for North Korean remote worker attacks. Quick Assist is used a lot. And so because of that, about 6 months ago or so, I started to dig into exactly what Quick Assist is. And more importantly, because I'm a forensic guy, what artifacts does it leave behind? And so that's what we're going to talk about here. But specific to the quick assist attacks, these are typically how they work. So you've got your attacker who is going to start to mail bomb, send tons of Teams messages, or even just start calling the victim. Their purpose here is to kind of overwhelm them. And then the attacker is then going to pose as the help desk, and they will either call, email, or even communicate via Teams to the victim as the help desk. They will often set up a fake domain. They will set up a fake Microsoft tenant that appears to be from the help desk, and they will call the victim and say, "Hey, are you having issues? Are you getting lots of emails, or are you having issues on your computer?" Of course, the victim at that point is going to say, "Yes, I am." And so the attacker convinces the victim to allow them to connect to their system with Quick Assist. They will give them a Quick Assist code. The victim enters in the code, and then the attacker can view and control their system. And while they were on there, the attacker will then run code to establish persistence, to establish their initial foothold, and so on. Because as soon as the victim shuts down the Quick Assist session, the attacker no longer has access. So they need to maintain that access in some way. So you can kind of look at Quick Assist being used as that stage one initial foothold onto a system. So that's how the typical social engineering attacks that we've seen work. These are happening a lot, but let's start talking a little bit about how does it work. So I'm going to do some technical dives here into exactly how Quick Assist works, because that's going to feed into how do we then go and investigate Microsoft Quick Assist. So Quick Assist does have some limitations, unlike something like AnyConnect or TeamViewer or so on. First off, the sharer must consent to letting the helper control their system. When the helper first connects to the sharer system through Quick Assist, they can only view the screen. Now, don't get me wrong, that can still there can still be issues with that. But in order to control the system, the sharer must consent to it. There is a little button that the helper presses, basically saying, "Give me control," and then a pop-up appears on the sharer's system, which they have to then click through and allow. So the helper can control the system with that consent. They can, it's almost like they were sitting, directly in front of the keyboard, almost like they were RDP'd into the system. There is also a little chat feature that can happen within Quick Assist that's built into Quick Assist itself, to allow the helper and the sharer to kind of talk back and forth if they weren't on Teams or if they weren't talking on the phone or so on. There are some things that the helper cannot do. So first off, they cannot transfer files natively. In other words, I cannot drag and drop a file as the helper from my computer onto the sharer's computer. There's no way to do that. The helper can also not copy and paste through Quick Assist. So if I, let's say, have a really long PowerShell command line that I want to run, I can't copy that on my own system and then paste it into Quick Assist. You have no capabilities to do that. Now, within Quick Assist, when I'm controlling that system, I can copy and paste local to that system, but not from system to system. And then finally, the helper cannot click through UAC prompts. So if they execute something which requires elevated permissions, that little pop-up comes up in Windows. The helper cannot click through those. The sharer must do it for them. So those limitations do help us a little bit in terms of protections, but as you'll see, it's not all encompassing. So there are actually two versions of Microsoft Quick Assist, and I kind of separate them out based off of where they are within the operating system, where you're going to find them. The first is what I'm going to call the System 32 version. It's in the Windows System 32 directory. This is where you will find Quick Assist when it's installed by default. This is mostly on Windows 10 systems, although I have seen it installed by default on Windows 11 systems as well. There is a second version, which is a Windows app. It's typically installed from the Microsoft Store, or I have actually seen this installed by default in Windows 11 systems. In this really long program files, Windows apps, so on directory, you'll see in the second line there of the directory, where it has version in brackets, that will actually be the Quick Assist version number. So as new versions are installed onto the system, you'll see the different directories. Two other things to note here. The System 32 version, if you had a choice between the two, you don't want the System 32 version. As we will see moving forward, it has much less logging than the Windows app version. Also, Quick Assist is not the same as Microsoft Intune Remote Help. So Microsoft Intune Remote Help is essentially a professional version of Quick Assist that you can pay for with Microsoft. You can. I think it's an add-on to Microsoft Intune. It's essentially Quick Assist with some bells and whistles attached to it. It is not the same thing, though, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit later on. But key takeaway here, two different versions. One is in System 32, and one is in the Program Files Windows Apps directory. In terms of authentication, there really isn't much authentication that takes place. The sharer, the person sharing their computer, is going to already be logged into their computer because they have to run Quick Assist, enter in the code, and so on. However, the helper will actually, in order to use Quick Assist, they actually authenticate to a Microsoft account or an Entra ID account. So what you see on the right here are some screenshots that I took where if I am the helper, I run Quick Assist, I have this little prompt that I'm going to help someone. It then makes me log in to a Microsoft account or an Entra ID account and so on. So there is some authentication that is taking place there. Whether or not we have access to that, we'll see in a little bit. But just note that no authentication is taking place on the sharer's system other than the sharer logging in whenever they initially logged in. All right. When Quick Assist is run, there are several programs that get run as child processes to it. So Quick Assist, its executable is quickassist.exe. Let me fix this for a second. There we go. When Quick Assist is run, quickassist.exe runs, and from there it will actually open up several or a child process called msedgewebview2.exe, which has the parameter of -- webview exe name equals quickassist.exe. If you're unfamiliar, msedgewebview is it's kind of like a version of Microsoft Edge that is utilized within programs to basically allow programs to access the web, render web pages or web services, kind of programmatically in the background. So Quick Assist runs MS Edge WebView, and then the main MS Edge WebView will actually have several child processes of MS Edge WebView as well. Those may or may not have the WebView exe name tying it to Quick Assist. However, all of those, their parent process will have the WebView exe name tying it to Quick Assist. That's kind of the key here, is seeing that WebView exe name equals quickassist.exe. That's going to tell you what it's associated with. Now, that was when we actually execute Quick Assist. What happens on with the Quick Assist programs itself. However, if I'm connected to a Quick Assist session, so let's say I am the helper, I have connected to a sharer system through Quick Assist, I have the ability to execute programs. They gave me that access. What happens with those programs that I execute? Well, unfortunately, all of those programs that I execute through the Quick Assist session are done under the normal Windows parent-child processes. They're not child processes to Quick Assist or MS Edge WebView. So here in the screenshot, as an example, I had connected to Quick Assist. I was executing Notepad and command.exe, And you can see here that those two processes, Notepad and Command, are not child processes to Quick Assist or MS Edge WebView. They are child processes of Explorer, which we would expect to see if somebody connected to the system. Interestingly, too, I did dig into this a little bit deeper to see if maybe there was a different desktop or something like that within the process that I could find in order to tell that Notepad was executed under Quick Assist or through a Quick Assist session. And unfortunately, I was not able to find anything like that. If anybody knows, please let me know. This is definitely an ongoing work in progress. Every chance I get, I dig into it a little bit more and always find something new in there. But what this means is that if an attacker connects to a system and they execute processes, we can't look at the parent-child relationships to tell if that the attacker executed those. There are other ways that we're going to talk about which do allow you to kind of guess and see that. Now, I will say as well that this is how a lot of other RMMs work as well. Things like AnyDesk, Atera, all the dozens that are out there, Mesh Central, and so on. A lot of those work this same way, where you cannot tell what the attacker executed by the parent-child process relationship. All right. What about network communications? So the network communications that occur in a Quick Assist session, its underlying protocol is actually RDP, so remote desktop. So when you're in a Quick Assist session, it's essentially a worked down version of RDP, which is kind of interesting, but it does communicate over 443 using TLS 1.2, not the RDP port of 3389. I think a lot of people, once they hear that, Quick Assist is really just RDP under the covers, they think, oh, well, I'm blocking 3389 traffic, I'm safe. Unfortunately, you're not. To make this a little bit more convoluted and cumbersome for defenders, all of the traffic goes through Microsoft servers. None of the traffic goes directly from the sharer to the helper. So you can't do anything like look for one of your internal systems connecting to 443 on some odd system in another country. It all goes through Microsoft servers. The main server that is accessed through a Quick Assist session is remoteassistance.support.services.microsoft.com. Everything, for the most part, goes through that server or that service. Now, of course, that's not the only website or server that connections go through. This list right here was taken from the Quick Assist MSDN page and shows all of the different other services and servers and domains that a Quick Assist session might access. However, the main one that you really need to worry about is this one, the Remote Assistance Microsoft site. We'll get into that in a little bit, but I'm sure some of you are thinking, oh, I can just block that or access to that that site, that name, or I can just look for activity to that and I'll see Quick Assist or block it, and you are correct. There are a couple caveats we'll talk about, but yeah, for the most part, you are correct there. All right. So that's the majority of how Quick Assist works. There are some other technical details under the covers that I didn't get into. We'll get into in a little bit, but those are really what you need to know in order to actually do a Quick Assist session or investigation. So now I want to talk about all the different artifacts that Quick Assist will leave behind that you can use during some type of incident response or forensics investigation. I want to note, though, that these are not the ones that I'm talking about here are not the only artifacts that you can look at. Quick Assist does leave more artifacts. I'm just talking about the ones that are the most relevant to any type of investigation. All right. So whenever I do a forensic analysis, which is a lot, I always like to go in with questions in my head of things that I want to try to answer. Because when you go into a forensic investigation, if you aren't like scoping your investigation or aren't focusing on what you want to look for, you'll just go down rabbit holes. I do this all the time for sure. People on my team and past team members I've worked with have done this as well. Everybody does this, but having these questions in mind are going to help you focus your investigation and help you get through the data faster. So the first thing, at least in regards to quick assist sessions, are we looking at the helper's PC or the sharer's PC? Is this the PC that somebody connected to the sharer's PC or connected from the helper's PC? For our because it's pretty unlikely that you're going to have the helper's PC. We're going to really just focus on the sharer's PC and the artifacts that you see from there. But I'll throw in a couple little tidbits that I found on the helper's PC as well. One of the most important questions that we want to try to answer is, when did the quick assist session start and when did it end? Because those are going to be the time frames in which the attacker had access to the system. Additionally, was consent given? So did the sharer allow the helper to control their system? Remember, in order to do that, the sharer has to click through a button that says, yes, you are allowed to control my system. And so, we want to find out, did they actually have control over the system, or did they only have the ability to look at what was on the system screen? We also, if we can we find out the user ID or the IP address of the helper? Again, because the systems don't connect, directly to each other, that won't help us necessarily in blocking that quick assist attack in the future, but it may help the investigation in some form. You could do telemetry on or OSINT on that IP address, on that user ID, give it to law enforcement, and so on. And then finally, probably the second most important question, or one of the more important questions: what did the helper do on the system? What did the attacker do? Did they execute programs? Did they access files? Did they move laterally? And so on. And so we want to try to find as much forensic evidence of that as we can. All right. So let's first start talking about event logs. Remember, there are two versions of Quick Assist, one that is located in the System32 directory, and the other which is located in the Microsoft Store, the program files, Windows apps directory. Well, unfortunately, with the System32 version, nothing is logged. Absolutely nothing, which is why I recommend that if you are going to use Quick Assist, please make sure you are using the Microsoft Store version, because the Microsoft Store version does log some events. These will all be logged in the application event log. It will have a source that's named Quick Assist, and however, all their event IDs are going to be 0, the number 0. So unfortunately, they don't. Quick Assist doesn't number their ID, the different events for different IDs numbers. They're all 0, but at least that's easy to pick out. All of the events, or I should say, the majority of the events that are logged are really just JSON debug messages, which we're going to see here in a second. I've got lots of examples here. So I'm just kind of pre-warning you. With one exception, don't expect nicely formatted event logs. All right. So the application event logs, this is kind of, if you open up Event Viewer, or if you have a event analysis tool, event log analysis tool of choice, this is what you are going to see. Again, these are going to be in the application event logs. The event source is Quick Assist, and the event ID will be 0. Again, this is only for the Windows app version. The System32 version logs nothing, absolutely nothing. One of the first events that's logged by Quick Assist is this little string that says quickassist.exe launched. This is a good indication of when the user first ran Quick Assist. This is going to be the most nicely formatted message or event that we see for this. But this will give you that kind of start time. From there, The majority of the logs are going to look like this. They are essentially WebView debug JSON logs. They are really what you see here. This blob of JSON data is just going to be thrown into the event log for each event. But there are still some good pieces of information that we can pull out of here. So first, within that JSON blob, you've got this context command that you can see in that first box there. That command is going to be basically the command that's being run within Quick Assist, and I've got some examples here. Then you have the context field with the response of the command. This is going to it'll actually say response name. This will actually give you information on what the request was, what the response was, whether or not it was successful. It may even give you some other information about the request itself. However, not everything that is done within Quick Assist is logged. And as we're going to see here in a minute, unfortunately, some of these are also truncated. So you're not getting the full log. But you still, for the most part, still get things, get enough data to help you piece together some things that happened during the event, during the Quick Assist session. And before I even get into what those are, I'm going to spoil it for everyone. No, it does not log what commands are executed within the Quick Assist session, unfortunately. We just saw over this one over here. This is the request. We can tell because the command is request response. There will also be a response event, and we know what that is because it'll say result, response name, and then whatever the command is, and then it will give you whether or not it was successful, and as well as some additional information around that request or that response. So what are these things? These are actually WebView debug messages, and I want to thank when I first gave this talk a couple months ago, I did not know this information. So somebody actually was able to find this and give it to me. But whenever WebView runs the MS Edge WebView 2.exe, whenever that runs, you can actually open up a debug console for it automatically. And the way that you do that is you set a system variable up that's listed up on top, WebView 2 additional browser arguments, and have the value be --auto open DevTools for tabs. And then anytime WebView is run, a DevTools console is going to pop up. It's essentially, if you're familiar with the Chrome debugger that's built within Chromium browsers, that's essentially what you get that pops up. All of the JSON messages that you see within the event logs are going to be found on the console. So it gives you a lot of information. In fact, the console will actually have more information than what's logged. But you can kind of see here what it looks like in the DevTools console on the left side, and then the event logs on the right side. A couple things to note with this. If you do this, it should run, that console should pop up for every time MS Edge WebView is run. Understand that Quick Assist is not the only program that utilizes it. So if you have another program on your system that uses EdgeView, it's going to pop up for that as well. Also, if you want to copy these JSON blobs out of the console, you're going to have to copy and paste them, and you're going to have to do that before you shut down Quick Assist, because as soon as Quick Assist is shut down, this goes away. And all the information in here, as far as I can tell, is not logged anywhere else on the system other than what we get in the event logs. There's no ETL files, there's no ETW files, there's no weird hidden file somewhere or log entry somewhere that is also logging this. If anybody knows or how to actually set that up to automatically log as well, I have not been able to find a way to do this. Please let me know. I don't know if it's actually possible to do that. So, but in any case, if you wanted to see the actual events, this is where they come from. And it can be useful if you're playing around and trying to figure things out. All right, so I'm going to jump back here for a second. Recall in the request event logs and even the responses, you have this response name. You can kind of see it here in the right hand box where it says begin sharing. Whatever that is in that field, the response name field, that is the action that was performed in Quick Assist. And there are a couple key actions which are useful to look at. So we already know about the Quick Assist launch. That's that one log entry that gets put in there. You'll just see the string quickassist.exe launched. That means that Quick Assist was run. Now, if the sharer shared their screen with the helper, so in other words, they allowed somebody to connect, they connected to somebody through a Quick Assist session and allowed somebody to look at their screen, you will see the context name of begin sharing. That means that they were sharing their screen with somebody. If the sharer gives consent to the helper, so in other words, if they give control of their system to somebody else, you will see a context name of set sharing mode and a parameter that says sharing mode full control. And you'll usually see a response value of success. If you see this, that means that the person gave control of their system to somebody else. Now, if that control is ever canceled or removed, you will see that sharing mode set back to view. It will change from full control to view. If sharing ever stops, you will see a context name of end sharing. And when Quick Assist is closed, it will actually log something or a context of send app close. These are probably the most valuable events that you're going to see in the event logs because it's going to show you when did sharing start, when did Quick Assist start, did the user allow the attacker to control their system, and when did sharing stop and when did Quick Assist close. So it kind of gives you a full life cycle of what happened, assuming that you do have these logs. And again, if you're using System 32, the System 32 version, you don't have these logs. Unfortunately, it does not log chat messages, at least that I've been able to find so far. It does not log what the attacker did within the full control of the system. It only logs that full control did happen. And actually, I take that back. I think it does actually log chat messages, not the full conversation, but it will show that. All right. The file system. So Quick Assist does leave a lot of files on the file system. Some of them aren't really useful, but the files that you're going to find here in the user's app data, local, temp, remote, help, EB web viewer directory, and this is going to be on the sharer's system, are going to be the most useful. One thing to note, remote in the directory name, remote help, that is for the Windows apps version. If you're using the System 32 version, it will actually say Quick Assist instead of remote help. So these files do appear on the System 32 version as well. But within this directory are essentially all of the MS Edge WebView cache files. And because MS Edge WebView or Microsoft Edge is based off of Chromium, they're all Chromium browser files. So the same type of files that you would find for Chrome history, for cookies, for bookmarks, for anything related to the browser, that's what you are going to find in this directory. One of my favorite tools to analyze Chromium browser artifacts is Hindsight. If you've never used Hindsight, it is an open source tool. We have the link there. And I should say too, I'm sorry if I didn't before, these slides and the session will be available afterwards. But Hindsight is an amazing tool for Chromium forensics. I highly recommend using it. But if you use Hindsight or any other browser analysis tool to analyze the history that you find within this directory, there are a couple URLs that you're going to see have been accessed that are a little bit useful. So first off, you're going to see access to remoteassistance.support.services.microsoft.com. If you recall, this is the main server that that Quick Assist connects through at Microsoft. When you see the first instance of this, that is going to occur shortly after Quick Assist was launched. So of course, because this is a history file, it'll have timestamps associated with it. The first time you see this, that occurs shortly after Quick Assist is first launched. Once screen sharing is enabled or a sharing code is entered, so Quick Assist, I am the sharer. I launch Quick Assist. I have to enter in that sharing code in order to allow somebody to view my system. You will see a history request to /screen share on that Microsoft server. This means that screen sharing was enabled or that somebody entered in that sharing code. When the sharing connection has been closed, you will see /status/ended. Unfortunately, there aren't too many other artifacts in here that are useful, or at least that I could correlate to different actions. But if for some reason you don't have the event logs, especially if you're using the System32 version or the System32 version was used, you can at least go to this directory and look at the history and at least get a probably rough time frame for when somebody may have been connected to the system. So that is going to give you the start and stop times. All right. There are a couple registry artifacts. The most useful one here is this HKCU, this really long directory that's going to be in the user's registry hive. It's going to have a value of was ever activated. And so if the value is set to 1, that indicates that Quick Assist was at some point used. So if a user tells you, well, I've never used Quick Assist, you can go and check this registry value, and if it's set to 1, then that user did in fact use Quick Assist at some point in time. There are a couple other values that I have at the bottom here, PCT and PTT, which are some hex values. I don't quite know what they are related for now, or I'm sorry, related to now. But you can at least for these keys look at the last modified time to figure out the last time Quick Assist was executed, or at least the rough time frame. So if you're not familiar with the registry, I'm going to assume everybody is, but in case not, there are timestamps associated with keys in the registry, and it is the last time that key was modified. And so you can use that in a forensic analysis in order to figure out, the last time that key was modified, or at least in this case, potentially the last time Quick Assist was executed. We did have a question come in. Do you know if the remote assistance URL is used for any other Microsoft features like RDP? It is used for other Microsoft features. The only one that I can confirm it's used for is the Microsoft Intune remote help. So it's used for Quick Assist. It's used for Intune remote help. I don't know if it's used for any other services. My guess is it probably is, but I don't know what those are. If, however, you are just using like a pure RDP connection from one system to another, that should not connect out to that service. As far as I know, Quick Assist and Intune Remote Help are what it's used for. I'm sure that there are others, though. Okay, moving on. So we talked about the event logs. We talked about the file system. We talked about the registry. One thing I want to show, and this is something that I was recently able to confirm and not super happy about, but remember when we talked about when authentication occurs on the helper side, the person who's connecting to the system, the attacker, in order to use Quick Assist, they have to log into a Microsoft account. Well, it turns out that on the sharer's PC, the PC that is connected to, within the WebView debug messages, it actually records the name of the person who logged in, like what the name of their Microsoft account is. So here you can see that when I was testing it out, I have, it recorded that, I was using my own personal Microsoft account for this. The email address isn't an email address for some reason, but at least it gives my first and last name in there. Unfortunately, this particular event log is truncated in the events. So if you were to go to the application event log and hope to see, who connected to the system, unfortunately, that event is truncated. So you don't get to see that. This is something that I hope Microsoft fixes. I actually hope, if I had a wish list, it would be that Microsoft actually put in real logging for this. But in any case, unfortunately, this is why having this would be very useful, or it would be very useful to have this. This is like a key piece of information. All right. In terms of quick assist execution artifacts, so remember, one of the things that we want to try to figure out is an attacker was connected to a system. How, what did they execute while they were in there? Because the programs are executed in a quick assist session under their normal Windows, parent-child process, that means all of the executed processes are going to be under the sharer's ID. It's going to be under their explorer.exe as the parent, and so the process execution logs that you typically have, or that are within the event logs, the quick assist event logs, aren't going to specifically tell you this program was executed through a quick assist session. There's always a chance that when a quick assist session is going up, that the person that's physically sitting in front of the computer, the sharer, might be running those programs instead of the helper. But there are still ways that we can at least narrow down what that was. Or what was executed. The way that you do this is, first you find the start of the quick assist session. There are lots of ways to do this. You can look at the event logs. If you have 4688's process execution logs turned on in the security logs, which you should if you don't. If you have those, then you'll see quick assist run. If you're running sysmon, you'll see quick assist run. You can look in the application event log for the Windows app version of quick assist for that quick assist launch event, or you can look in the Edge history files for quick assist for when it started up. So you find the start of the quick assist session, then you find the stop of the quick assist session. Again, you can look in the application event logs for this. You can look in the MS Edge, the quick assist history logs. You can look at the last modification time of some of the file system artifacts, and so on. So there are multiple ways that we can find how long that quick assist session went on. What was the start time? What was the end time? Once we find that, we can then use our normal forensics activities or artifacts that we would normally use to find execution or evidence of execution, and look to see what executed during that time frame. So, some places you might look, the prefetch files, the SRUM, MUI cache. There's lots of places in the registry where you can see this, the AM cache, the user assist, background activity manager. You can look in the event logs. Again, if you have the 4688 process execution logs turned on, you can look at those, sysmon, and so on. And so basically you're just coming up with the start of the quick assist session, the ending point, and finding out what falls in between those start and stop times. Unfortunately, like I've said, there is nothing within the quick assist specific artifacts or logs which are going to tell you what was executed. However, there are still places that we can look for. I'll also say too that if you don't know how to do this, if you don't know how to perform that forensics to see what was executed, or you don't have EDR that would have been logging this as well, find somebody who does. There are a lot of forensic professionals out there. Obviously, we can help you with that, but find somebody who can do this, and you can still get a lot of information to help try to figure out what happened during that, when the attacker was connected to a quick assist session. I know there are a couple of questions. I'm going to hold off on answering them until the end. In terms of network artifacts, well, because everything goes through Microsoft servers and they're encrypted with TLS, you're not going to get a lot from the network artifacts. You can look for DNS resolutions or access to that Microsoft server using network telemetry, so DNS logs, NetFlow, firewall logs, IDS logs, and so on. I think even if you have SSL inspection or TLS inspection within your environment, I don't think it's going to give you a lot of information. I could be wrong on that because I haven't had that level of visibility yet, but that may be something as well. I'll also say too, Microsoft says on their website that they may store additional information for a limited amount of time about quick assist sessions. However, you are likely going to need legal assistance in order to get that information. I mean, you can try to open up a help desk ticket with Microsoft to get that information for a particular quick assist session. My gut says you're going to need to have a lawyer help you with that. But Microsoft says that they don't carry that data for more than 3 days. So you are going to have to do that very, very quickly. I would say that if you're doing this type of investigation, it's more, you're going to get more information out of everything that I've described up to this point with the forensic analysis that way than you are going to get from Microsoft. All right. So with the forensic investigation, we had our questions. So which of these can we answer? Is this the helper or the sheriff's PC? Yes, we can absolutely answer that. We can look at the event logs. We can look at, it's probably going to be mostly common sense anyways, if somebody had connected to the system or not. But there are some artifacts that we can use to tell, is this the helper or is this the sheriff? When did the quick assist session start and when did it end? Yes, we can absolutely answer that. Fortunately, with both versions of Quick Assist, both the System32 version as well as the Windows apps version, we can look in the history, the browser history files that it generates. We can look in the event logs if those exist. We can look at file times, registry times, and so on. Was consent given? Yes, we can determine this, but we can really only definitively determine this with the Windows apps version because we have to use the event logs to do so. The System32 version, so far, I have not been able to find any artifact which will definitively say whether or not consent was given. The user or IP address of the helper. Unfortunately, with the event logs that we have access to, no, we cannot determine this. As we saw, the user is logged, but that event log gets truncated, so we miss that. And then what did the helper execute, access, and so on? Yes, we can determine this. We cannot determine this directly from Microsoft Quick Assist artifacts. We have to use other artifacts or telemetry that we have on that system. But yet, as long as we know the start and stop of the Quick Assist session, we can determine this. All right, so we've got about 15 minutes left. The last thing I want to talk about before I open this up to questions is how do we prevent this? Or more importantly, how do we detect and how do we prevent these types of attacks since they are being used in the wild right now? Well, the first step here is preventing those social engineering attacks, preventing those initial attacks before it even gets to the point of using Quick Assist. This really starts with user awareness. Talk to your users. Yes, I know we all got into computers because we don't want to talk to people, but unfortunately we have to in some cases. Talk to your users. Tell them about these social engineering methods, these techniques that are happening. Tell them that IT on how IT or security is going to contact them. Are you going to contact them through Teams? What will the account be? Are you going to call them? Are you going to email them? And so on, so that they know how you're going to contact them, or more importantly, how you would never contact them or what you would never ask them to do. And then give them also escalation procedures. If they do get one of these attacks, and this happens pretty commonly. When I was putting this together and advertising this, I had multiple people reach out to me and tell me that they were seeing these same attacks. Give your users a way to escalate notification of these attacks. One of the biggest ways that attackers are doing this is by messaging your users within Teams. And the reason that they can do that is because by default, Microsoft Teams is set up to allow external chats to come into your organization from organizations. You should turn that off or at least limit what external organizations can do this because attackers are 100% taking advantage of that. And finally, put together some policies on what your approved remote access software is. Do you allow Quick Assist to be used? Do you allow Intune Help? Do you allow TeamViewer and so on? And then once you have those policies in place for what is allowed to be used, threat hunt in your organization for what the remote access software that's out there and figure out why that other remote access software is out there or look for those activities. So that's preventing. So with Quick Assist itself, what native access controls do you have? Again, unfortunately, none. There are 0 native access controls within Quick Assist. So things like requiring or only allowing specific individuals or tenants to connect to somebody in Microsoft Quick Assist. Prohibiting full access, things like that. None of these things can be turned on or controlled. unless you buy Microsoft Intune Remote Help, which is the professional version of Quick Assist. So Quick Assist is basically an all or nothing deal. That doesn't mean there aren't things that we can't do. So if we want to prevent Quick Assist from being used in our environment, first, block access to remoteassistance.support.services.microsoft.com. This is the first system or server that Quick Assist is going to connect to because everything flows through Microsoft's systems. If you block access to that, then Quick Assist will not be able to work. Now, this is also going to block the Intune Remote Help. So if you block this and you use Intune Remote Help, then you've lost the ability to use that as well. I would also recommend that you uninstall and or delete Quick Assist from your systems. Remember, it is installed on there by default. I can almost guarantee it. If you do use it and you do need it, upgrade to the Microsoft Store version because that is going to give you more logging as we've seen. Even if you uninstall or delete Quick Assist, also deny list it. Microsoft has some native deny listing tools. EDR tools will typically do this as well. The reason I say this is because you don't want an attacker convincing your user to download Quick Assist and execute it. So uninstall it, delete it, and deny list it. And then also monitor for its execution. Monitor for the MS Edge WebView2.exe with the QuickAssist.exe and the parameters. Look for that. You're going to find a lot. Quick Assist Quick Assist executions happen a lot, whether or not they should be. What you see at the bottom here is a little graph that I took a couple days ago from Inversion 6's data lake that were all the events that we get from all of our clients. And these are anytime Quick Assist over the last 30 days was executed. And it was executed over 5,000 times. Some of these were legitimate, some of these were not, and those were events that we responded to. But as you can see, it's happening a lot. So expect, at least initially, you to have to do a little bit of digging. These are some resources that I've found very useful through my research into Quick Assist. I obviously wasn't the first one to investigate this or figure out what to do. So I've got a couple of those links in there, as well as Microsoft's page on Quick Assist. Again, we will be giving these slides out. You'll be able to get them afterwards. And so you'll have access to this. But with that, thank you very much. I'm going to go into some questions here in a second. But if you do have questions that you're not thinking of, or you want to, ask me some more questions, or talk about this, please feel free to reach out. You can click on that button there that just popped up, or you can, email me, hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm on most social media sites and so on. But let's talk about some questions. So the first one. Is there an attack vector like with Microsoft Exchange in the cloud where one tenant could remote into one of my PCs in my other tenant? All right, that is a good question. Now specific to Quick Assist, not that I'm aware of. So there's no native ways that I'm aware of where somebody can just cause a Quick Assist session to pop up on somebody within your tenant. And have them enter the code and all that. This is still a manual social engineering attack that needs to take place. So unlike with RDP, if you have access to the RDP port, you can connect to the system. With Quick Assist, both the sharer and the helper have to execute Quick Assist, and they have to pass that code back and forth and allow that to happen. So right now, there's no way that I know of to allow some type of lateral movement like that. And I think that's what you're asking. So how do you see the last modified date of a registry key? This is a great question. I love this. So there are a couple ways to do this. Unfortunately, as far as I'm aware, regedit within Microsoft will not show you this. At least I don't think so. I don't remember it. Instead, there are basically any forensics tool which performs registry analysis is going to show it to you. So my favorites for this are Eric Zimmerman's Registry Explorer is an amazing tool. It's really what regedit should be. But you can go in there and you can see the last modified dates from there. You can utilize a tool like
Redripper from Harlan Carvey. I don't think that he has a plugin for the quick assist artifacts that I mentioned, but that will pull out the last modified timestamps there as well. There are a couple other tools as well. I'm trying to think of them. There's one called RegTime, which is an older Perl script, but it should still work. And then any of the timelining tools that are out there, like Plazo, that do the super timelines, if you give them a registry file, that will pull out the last modified timestamp as well. But if you're just looking for that specific key, I would use Registry Explorer. It's very simple to use, and it will give you that information. All right. What would the prevention also affect TeamView, Free or Pro, and AnyDesk, same Free or Pro? So if you're talking about the prevention, and I'm going to jump back a slide here so that we can see what I was talking about here. If you're talking about blocking access to this particular website, no, that will not help prevent AnyDesk or TeamViewer or really any other RMM tool. It's very specific to, this is very specific to Quick Assist and MS Intune Remote Help. However, you can still follow these same concepts to block those tools. You would have to go and find what tool or what websites or what domains AnyDesk connects to. You can block the AnyDesk tool. I would block it both by hash as well as by name, and although those can easily be changed, and then monitor for its execution. So while these particular techniques right here won't block Quick Assist, won't block AnyDesk or any other RMM tool, you can still block them in the same fashion. If you don't know where to go in order to get that information, this LOL RMM site is amazing. It has all of this listed out. Go there. That would be my first starting point. And because RMMs are being used so much, you're going to see a lot of other resources, especially for the most popular ones. But this LOL RMM site does have a lot of information around, even some weirder ones that I've only seen on like one or two off cases, or some that I didn't even know existed. So definitely check out that website. All right. What types of organizations are most at risk for these types of attacks? This is great. So the great thing about this type of attack from the attacker's perspective is it doesn't matter what industry you are in. If you use Windows, you are vulnerable to, or not, I shouldn't say vulnerable, you are susceptible to being attacked through Microsoft Quick Assist, or Microsoft Quick Assist being used in that attack. I have personally seen this used in manufacturing, healthcare, education, hospitality, government. So lots and lots of different industries. Everybody, unfortunately, is at risk for this type of attack, or at least Microsoft Quick Assist being used. And remember too, attackers like this because it's a native Windows tool that gives them access. If you tell a user to download a tool and run it, they might start to set off some red flags. But if you tell them, hey, I've already installed this remote help tool on your system because I'm the help desk, go ahead and run it, they probably feel a little bit better about running that. So unfortunately, the answer to this is everyone. Any best practice we can find for tenant level security? The direct send for Exchange almost got us last week. So any of these tenant level assistants to help us are a concern. For tenant level security. So I know that Microsoft has a lot of best practices out there for tenant level security. I can't point you to any like one specific one, like page or website, but I know that Microsoft has done a really good job of at least documenting the ways to lock down tenants, even though they're not locked down by default. There are ways to do that. So I would start with Microsoft's website, and then from there probably go to SANS has published a lot of white papers on this as well. So that's where I would go. All right, I think we have time for two more questions. What kind of EDR telemetry can we monitor except process rollup and network commands? I assume, Amir, you mean for monitoring for Quick Assist. So the process and network communications are going to be the biggest ones that you are going to look for within EDR telemetry. You could also look for something like
Let me think here. The access to those specific registry keys, if that's being monitored by EDR, that's where I would also recommend looking. But the top two ones I think are going to be the process and the network communications. Especially if you can monitor for DNS. I guess outside of that too, if EDR is monitoring file creations, if you see that directory being created that within the user's app data local temp, the EB web view or quick access directory, that would be another indication that you're seeing activity as well. All right, last question, if we have a last one. All right, I think we're up on time though. So if you do have any more questions, please feel free to reach out. But otherwise, thank you so much for being on the webinar, and I look forward to doing this again in the future. Thank you, everyone.